Finding Your Why. My name is Daniel J. Smith. I'm the host of Edmonton Real, a podcast that delivers unique guests and unique conversations and some powerful thoughts in helping people find their why. What makes people happy and discover new, fresh ideas that might inspire you to take action in your own life. This Edmonton Real podcast may be the platform that helps you change or give you that spark you need to make a change. Let's all grow together. This is Edmonton Real. Welcome to Edmonton Real. I'm your host, Daniel J. Smith. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my Edmonton Real YouTube channel so that you get all the new episodes, because you don't know which episode it may be that changes your life. This is Edmonton Real. I'm your host, Daniel J. Smith. This podcast delivers unique conversations and powerful thoughts and helps people find their why. When you get a guest like my guest today, who has changed as many lives as he has, it's a podcast worth watching. My guest today is Rock Thomas, who is a best-selling author and motivational speaker, self-made millionaire, trained with greats, studied and connected with likes of Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, Jack Canfield, Wayne Dyer, and Stephen Covey. A Goalcast video that has gone viral and reached millions and millions of people and impacted over 100 million lives. Founder of Rock Thomas International, what's helped people realize their true potential in life and the power of their true identity. Founder of the 90-Day Challenge and M1 personal development coaching platforms. And this is how him and I connected, which allows me to have mentorship and be mentored from Rock and his team. Rock, what an honor it is to have you on Edmonton Real. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's great to be here, eh?
So my starting question is always the same. Who is Rock Thomas? Where were you born? What type of home did you come from? What was your childhood like? What led you down the path you went down in life? I'm always fascinated by where people have come from and how they achieved their level of success and the paths they took to obtain their success.
Well, Canadian like you, my parents are Dutch. I grew up in Montreal, Canada, 5 years in suburbia and 3 years with my mom after my parents divorced. And then they shipped me off to live with my dad on a farm to straighten me out because I was a little bit of a troublemaker. And it ended up being really, from 8.5 to 17, so 10 years approximately of boot camp, really. When you grow up on a farm and I'm the youngest of 7 kids.
Wow.
You fight to get just about everything in your life, including just food. So I was gifted with an adverse situation growing up, Daniel, and it caused for me to become resourceful. And that's one of the gifts that I have today is I'm a really resourceful person. It doesn't matter what I'm going through. I know I got to fight and find my way if necessary. And it served me as an entrepreneur. It served me to have an incredibly strong work ethic. When I line up in something or we're going through this coronavirus, whatever it is, I'm like, I know I will outwork most people. That's a given. And it gives me what? It gives me confidence that I can show up, compete, and I can get my unfair share
100%.
of what I need to get to protect my family, serve my family, to run my businesses, etc. So I think the ultimate confidence you get is by continually putting yourselves into the arena that is difficult. But most people aren't willing to do that. Most people are trying to do the exact opposite. They want the easy street. They want to get rich quick. They want to have a perfect relationship that requires no effort. They want to have good kids. I think just use what's in front of you and get better. So that's kind of the quick story of my evolution. Now I'm in my 50s. I've multiple businesses. We could talk for 4 hours on all my failures. But really the only failure there is when you stop trying. And
yeah.
I don't have quit in me. So it's resolved in a pretty fulfilling life.
Awesome. No, I totally agree. There's some times where I connect with people and they're saying, hey, Dan, how do I, achieve success? And I'll say, okay, well, tomorrow you've got to do this, 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 and this. The next day you've got to do this, 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 and this. The next day you got to do this, this, and this. And they're like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Right. So I totally get it. And, Yeah, I've been following you for a few years now, and you know, you're just somebody that's just crushing life, and somebody that I just been followed and look up to. I actually have a section here where what I have in common with my guests, and it's one of my favorite things to go through, because always there's one or two good ones that I have in common with all my guests. That's kind of just like, wow, they did that too. So I'm going to go into that before we go into some more questions, because it's one of my favorite things, part of my podcast. So what we have in common section. So we have a little bit in common. So I watched some footage, did my research on you to prepare for today, and I noticed we have some things in common, so I'm going to list them off now. We both are from Canada, A.
Yes. Check.
We both have been in real estate and realtors. We both played hockey growing up. We both meditate. We both, this one's good. We both have had friends working for us, mowing lawns and cutting grass when we were younger.
Oh, wow. Good.
I had a couple crews running in high school.
Nice.
We both have been to Tony Robbins events. We both have bought Bitcoin. We both can act like big kids at times. We both have worked in fast food. You McDonald's, me Dairy Queen.
Okay.
See, I did my homework.
Yeah, I like it.
We both wanted to work in motion pictures. So in the movies, we both have our podcasts. You got your mic, I got my mic. We both have high A-type personalities.
True.
We both like to play golf. We both have been dyslexic. Our older brothers used to beat us up all the time. We both are city slickers. Our parents are both divorced. We both started lifting weights at an early age. We both got our first car when we were 16. And last but not least, Tony Robbins both started us on our personal development journey.
Wow. Nice rendition.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, wow. So I was, doing my research, reading up on you, podcasts, books, everything to try to get as much information I could. And like I said, that's my favorite part. I'm like, oh, wow. I have, a little bit in common with.
Forgot one though.
Oh, what? Fill me in.
We're both dead sexy, baby.
Yeah. You rock a bald head. Move over, Mr. Clean. Like you rock a bald head like nobody's business. I'll tell you that. So I remember watching your viral Goalcast video on YouTube. Yeah. And every time I connect with you, and like we have our coaching platform, that I'm in your coaching platform, and when I last talked to you on there, I feel the same way then and today. Every time I talk to you, when I watched your Goalcast video, and your video moved me quite a bit, and you're a people mover, Rock, like you move people in a way that most people can't. So I just want to take this time and just thank you for coming on my podcast today, because I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome, buddy.
Yeah, and let's talk about your Goalcast video, because when you talked about it on the 90-day challenge, I remember you telling me that you had over 100 people contact you that said that they were going to commit suicide until they seen your video. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, well, what I didn't know is that would happen, but what I have learned in my life, and the thing that's allowed me to have massive change, I'm not talking little change, I'm talking about, we all grow up with programming, and the programming happens from, most of the time, people that don't have any training in programming, our parents. So they're just passing on what they learned from their parents. And, my mother still cooks the same way her mother did, even though there's modern equipment to change the style. She still wants to, boil the milk on a pot, not put it in the microwave.
The same way. Yeah, I hear you.
So the programming needs to be updated if we're going to accelerate and be a higher version of ourselves. And one of the core messages is this relationship between our parents, and this desire to have our parents, be proud of us and to acknowledge us and to see us. And sadly, in the world we live in today, because people are so busy and running around, and parents are both working, etc., it's probably even aggravated more than it has been 30, 40, 50 years ago. So I really believe you've got to start to understand who you are, how you've described yourself. Because I was described as ugly, skinny kid. So I believed it. Now it led me to want to lift weights, and it led me to, want to change that. But the conversation I had with myself inside was still ugly, skinny kid. And everybody has an inner narrative going on inside that's disempowering. Everybody. I've worked with billionaires. I've worked with people across the board.
Doubts.
Yeah, it's all doubts and worries and fears. And even if you are super successful like Tony or what have you, you now have an identity to live up to. You go, okay, I blew everybody away last week at the event. I've got to blow everybody away again this week. Otherwise, they're going to think I'm losing it. Mm-hmm. So that we create the pressure all the time. So this relationship between how you talk to yourself around I am this or I am that is what the message is about in Goalcast. And people start to realize that they've created their own jail. And that's what became unlocked for some people. So many people don't have access to personal development, Daniel.
Yeah.
They're just not even aware that you can change programming. I wasn't aware I could change programming until I came across Tony. And when I did, I freaked out. I quit drinking and smoking drugs in a day.
Wow.
Just because I went, oh, I could change. And it radically moved me forward. It was just listening to his CDs. And then I went to his event, and then I was like a man on fire.
What year was that? When you kind of cut that all out of your life?
2001.
Okay.
Yeah, 2001. Now I was, on and off. I mean, when I drove a taxi in Australia, I was 21 years old. I smoked cigarettes. I was bored, and I didn't smoke. I was still working out and stuff, but people get in the cab. They'd be partying. It'd be 2:00 in the morning. They'd be drunk. I'd pick them up. They'd be smoking. Hey, you want a cigarette? Cab driver. I'd be like, no, I'm good. No, I'm good. But after 1,000, suggestions, I'm like, and it might have been a hot chick that offered it. Who knows? I was wanting to be in rapport. I'm like, yeah, okay. And then before I'm like, you know what? Something to do while I'm driving. So that was my environment. It's not who I was. And I knew it wasn't who I was. So these kids that responded and said, I was labeled by my parents, X, Y, you'll never amount to much. You're a piece of shit. You're this, that, the other. I burn myself every day. I cut my wrists every day. I whatever I do, they go, your story led me to believe that I can change my label. Yeah. So now powerful. It's a mission. That's why I started this podcast, is because people need to understand that if they're willing to put in the effort, they can change how they see themselves and change their destiny.
Out of all the people that contacted you, what was like one of the worst stories that you heard?
There were so many stories that you're going to think that it's out of a movie, and you'd watch the movie and think it's not true.
Wow.
I may mix some of them up, but there was one that was something like this. I saw my father shoot my mother in the head, and she survived.
Wow.
When I was able to call 911, and when they weren't able to come, I got her in the car and I drove her to the hospital. And this happened when I was 13.
Wow. I can't even imagine something like that.
And then it just went, and then when I was 16, our house burnt down. Like, it's literally, you would think, no, this can't happen. And it was like the house burned down. Then I went to live with my aunt, where I was sexually molested by my uncle for 4 years. And then after that, I ran away and I was picked up by somebody and I was beaten in the face. It was just like, what? Like, there was just people living out there that is beyond comprehension.
Wow, it's crazy. You share that story and it makes me think, and I've had contacts and friends that have had things like that happen in life. And what always kind of interests me is you have some people that have gone through something like that and they use it as fuel in their life. And then you take the other people and they use it as a crutch. The same things that happen to two different people, but totally different outcomes. It's crazy. But when something like that happens in your life, it puts perspective really quick, right? And it, I mean, makes me think, oh my God, you know, oh, my slow internet, or my, what, you know, these, you know what I mean? Like these little kitty problems, right? Because I had a good upbringing. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just like, it sets you back, right? And I know that you probably get a lot of those messages being who you are, right? And, you know, when you mentioned that you had so many people reach out to you after you did that Goalcast video and it went viral, when you shared that, I was like, wow. And I really want to talk to that. So thanks for sharing. Like, yeah, I can imagine some of the messages that you got from doing that. So what is the hardest thing that you have ever gone through in your life?
I mean, there's, you know, I divide my life into 8 areas. So I have my health and nutrition. I have, you know, family, I have spirituality. It depends which area. But I give you one example. Recently, I had some knee issues. I had a torn MCL, and last September, October, for 6 weeks, the only way I could relieve the pain, I was going to see a bunch of specialists. The only way I could relieve the pain was to get up and walk at night every 20 minutes. So I have this app on my watch, and for 6 weeks, I got an hour and 15 minutes of sleep per day for 6 weeks in a row.
And still doing business.
And I functioned fully during the day without really any issue.
Wow.
But at nighttime, I couldn't sleep. So I'd get up and I'd work and I'd walk and I'd watch Netflix and I'd clean the house and I'd do different things. So from a physical perspective, that was the most difficult, the most painful thing I experienced was that. I mean, on an emotional level, you know, when my father died, and I asked him, and it's in this Goalcast video, I asked him, you know, the last request was, what was he proud of? And my father was just a very militant German kind of background. And he goes, nothing I can think of. When he answered that to me, my wish was he would have just lied. You know, this is what
and gave you something. Yeah.
But I guess in the end, what he was saying was that, you know, it's a lifetime for you to develop who you are. Go out, son, and continue to grow. It's not over till it's over. And I think part of it was that he wasn't proud of himself. And when you're not proud of yourself, you can't, you know, like if you don't love yourself, it's hard to love somebody else. If you're not proud of yourself, it's hard to be proud of somebody else because you're so critical. He was a very self-critical person. So there's many different things I can say. I lost $1 million in the stock market. I've done stupid things. I've been divorced a couple of times. I've hurt people because I was hurt and I didn't have a better tool to deal with it. So I think innately we're all good, but did I behave badly and unkind and with lack of compassion and like a dick in some cases? Yeah, absolutely. So many things, Daniel.
Can you maybe just elaborate, if you don't mind, the relationship with your father? Because maybe 1 or 2 minutes, like in the Goalcast video that went viral on YouTube, can you maybe just elaborate a little bit on the relationship? And because I know that your father was a hard-nosed guy, can you maybe just go a little bit more in depth, or just maybe 1 or 2 minutes of kind of like in your video?
I can give you some context. So when my parents divorced, I lived with my mom for 3 years and I just got in trouble. I wanted attention. She was a gypsy. She was never around. I fought at school. I got kicked out. We had to change schools, etc. So my parents agreed that I needed to go with my father, who was going to discipline me. And what I used to do is, my mom was often not around. It was back in the days when kids would come home from school, dropped off by the bus, and you walk home.
Yeah.
And your mom's at work or she's out. So I would find loose change. I'd go to Dairy Queen of all places, and I'd get an ice cream. Okay. And I would come home and I would actually not be hungry at dinner because I'd eaten these sweets. My mother started to notice the pattern. So one day she said, I noticed that you like sweets. So I've packed a chocolate bar for you for lunch today. And for 3 days in a row, she served me breakfast, lunch, and dinner chocolate bars. And after 3 days, I begged for broccoli. To this day, I don't have a sweet tooth. And ironically, the same thing happened to Tony Robbins with beer. His father drank beer, so his mother said, well, if you're going to drink, you got to drink a 6-pack like your dad. And that's one of the reasons he doesn't drink. So what my mother did is she sent me out to live with my dad, but she gave me an identity that went with it. And that was that I was a thief. I stole money around the house to get sweets, and that she couldn't control me. So my father had this goal now to break me. So he came in, he called me, he goes, you're a liar and you're a thief, and I'm going to straighten you out. So if you talk about all the work I do on identity, when you tell a little child, you're a liar and you're a thief, one of two things happens. They're either going to continue to live that out, or they're going to try to prove it wrong. Because I wanted my dad's respect. So I did everything to prove it wrong. But as a kid, if you spill milk and your mom walks in the room and there's milk on the ground and you say, she goes, did you spill the milk? And you go, yes. And she whacks you across the side of the head. Next time the brain goes, lie. You don't want that pain. So I would do things around the farm, and then my father would come in and go, did you leave the pliers outside in the rain? And I'd be like, yes. And then whack. So I started to learn to lie. And then if I ever got caught, he would go, see, you are a liar. I knew it. Now get outside and work twice as hard. So it became this self-fulfilling prophecy where he was trying to break me and I was trying to protect myself, but he would break me by making me work harder, which led me to make more mistakes. I went like an 11-year-old kid, go out, grab the tractor, take it down to the field and go build a fence with 12 posts and barbed wire fence, go. I'd be like, I don't know how to do that, go. So the good that came out of it was that I became incredibly resourceful. I was out there on my own going, how do I do this? Oh, I don't know. I looked at a post. I go, okay, I guess they're 10 feet apart. Well, I guess I'll put them 10 feet apart. So I started to learn to become incredibly resourceful, but I also had a confused identity. Am I a liar? Am I a thief? And then my older brother, what he did was he glommed onto this. And so he would steal shit and
blame it on you
and leave a crumb trail to me.
Aren't brothers great?
Aren't they awesome? You know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about. Yes. Yes, I do.
So then I'd be like, no, I didn't take it. And then they would pull out some sort of proof that was, kind of incriminating. And then I'd be like, no, I didn't do it. Whack, whack. So it was a very confusing time for me as a child. But at the end of the day, what I wanted my dad to see me, who I was. I was this good kid that just wanted to be good. But I was confused with the messages. It's proven that if a dog pees in the house and half an hour later you find it, the old teaching was rub the dog's nose in the pee and scold it. It's proven now that if you don't connect the dots within 3 seconds, the dog has no clue what you're doing. There's no clue.
Okay.
So my programming became confused. Work hard, go out there, figure things out on your own. You can't ask for help because you're supposed to figure it out on your own. But if you do it wrong and if you make a mistake, then you're going to be beaten. And if you don't admit it, then you're going to be told you're a liar. So all these things were happening for my little brain. So I started to hide things, and I'd hide the wrong thing. And when you're 11 or 12 years old, you forget a pair of pliers. Like you see a bird, or you see a squirrel, or we had chicks, we had girls coming riding at our stable, 15, 16-year-old girls. I'm 12, 13 years old. I'm fixing the fence. What do you think I'm going to look at, right? I'm going to forget a pair of pliers out in the field, and I'm going to get whacked for it. So it was a very, very interesting time when it comes to your programming. So that's why on the deathbed, when I said, what are you proud of? I wanted him to know the evolution I'd made, the progress I'd made. I wanted him to acknowledge it. And up until the day that he died, he still wouldn't admit. I asked him one day, do you still think I took that money? Do you still think I did that? Because I don't know. Do you still think I'm a liar? Oh my God. It was one thing that was really hard for me to take.
What year did he pass?
1993.
1993. So it's been a while. And the way he was with you, do you think you'd have this inner drive? If he,
Oh, this is such a great question. And I have it on my podcast too. I'm like, nature versus nurture. Are you born with a certain amount of drive, or do you cultivate it? Right? Yeah. Does Tiger Woods have this drive because his father worked with him from 6 months old? Certainly the conditioning in his performance and his ability to hit a golf ball. Michael Jordan, like, do they have this innate drive for greatness, or was it born out of their response to rejection? Somewhere, like Michael Jordan, you don't make the high school varsity basketball team. Screw you, I'm going to work twice as hard and I'll prove you.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I definitely have that. Today at my age, I have less of it, but up until about 52 or 53, I had this, fuck you, I'll show you. Like, just tell me I can't do it. And I will fucking die showing you that you're wrong. Today, I don't need to do that anymore. I've matured a little bit. I've learned from that. I still have a drive for high standards and excellence and performance and going all in. I still have a hunger for greatness, but not from the need to prove. And that's a small distinction, but it's a big emotional different experience.
So it's probably a blessing and a curse the way he was with you, because, I mean, you wanted love. He didn't give it to you, but he set you up with some other skill sets that most people don't have out there in life. Right?
100%. And I think that each person, it's up to them to use the environment. So maybe you were brought up, whoever's listening, and your parents loved you and they were kind and great and you're compassionate and you're loving, and maybe you're funny, or maybe you're cute, or maybe you're a great dresser like Daniel, or maybe you got, whatever you got. But whatever you don't got, you get to work on. What I got, and this is really good English, what I was given, right, was a warrior attitude. Like, if you have a sports team, we're going to play pickup sports, you want me on your team.
You, McDavid.
That's right. I may not be the most talented,
but you're going to work hard.
I'll work hard, and I'm strategic, and I will do whatever it takes to win. You need people like that on a sports team, right?
You're the grinder in the corners.
I'm the grinder. Grinder.
You're the winger in the corners.
Yeah.
Feeding me the puck.
And I'll be the third man back on back checking when everybody else said, you know what? He's gone. My head goes down, and I will go and go. If I can just touch him on the right elbow with my stick, just enough to distract him, it'll be worth it for me. Right? Just if he hesitates and pauses for a second, I'm freaking going to get him. Like, you hesitate and pause, you compete with me, you fucking lose, right? Like, I've got that in my cells of my body. And I developed that. But I had to develop compassion.
I love it. I love it. Let's switch gears a little bit here, and let's talk about some of your daily routines that maybe can rub off on some other people, that can really kind of help people in their daily routines. Kind of tell me what your daily routines and what a day in the life of Rock Thomas looks like.
So it's different now with this whole coronavirus thing, of course. But, a typical day for me at home will involve about an hour or two in the morning of what we call, in our community, the miracle morning, or the hour of power. And it's all designed to set you up to win the day. It's all designed to give you energy. It's to give you focus. It's to build your vision. So it includes meditation. It includes yoga. I did 75 days of yoga in a row.
Wow.
So it's like, get up at 4:15, wake up. And by the time I get to the yoga class at 5:30, I'm done by 6:45. And I feel phenomenal. I've already, I've done my breathing, I've done my visualization, I've connected with my body, I've connected my mind and my soul, and I've had an intense physical workout in a heated yoga class. If not, I might get up and go straight to the gym. So it involves working out, moving the body. And nice. I'll do that every day. Today, as I'm home, sometimes I get up and I have calls that I do at 5 o'clock in the morning because I'm on the West Coast and I do some stuff on the East Coast. So when I do that, I might get up and I might just get in 100 push-ups or something just to get the body going.
Are you in BC?
I'm in Phoenix.
Oh, you're in Phoenix. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, it must be nice down in Phoenix right now.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. I'm going to go golfing right
I've been
after
to Phoenix.
this.
I love Phoenix. Phoenix is so nice. So
Come on down, man. We'll go golfing.
Yes. Oh man, that would be a dream. I've never really gone golfing anywhere other in Canada. So I'd like to go on some other kind of nice courses all over the world. What is one of your big passions? What lights your fire?
Again, it depends on the different areas of your life, but I would say seeing the greatness in somebody that they haven't given themselves permission to lean into. And acknowledging it and stoking it, right? Because so many people, like you said before, have doubt. Mm-hmm. And because I, as you can relate, was beaten up by my brother, what I learned to do was I learned to pay attention. Because if you don't pay attention, you get whacked on the back of the head. Your cereal bowl gets knocked over. Your toast gets stolen. The best seat in the car gets taken, all that kind of stuff. So you learn to pay attention. And in that process, what I developed was this ability to pay attention and read micro movements in people. So where their eyes go, what they're doing, are they up to something? Are they confident? Do they lack confidence? Are they into their body? Are they connected to their body? Do they like physically working out? Do they have their posture, everything? So I'm hyper aware, which allows me to generally perceive a dormant resource that they haven't exploited. So I love to work with people and then to seek that out, figure what that is, and then fan the flames.
I love it. I love it. And, I share the same passion and I mean, I'm in one of your coaching groups and that's kind of right there. You're just, like you said, you're just a giver and you want people to be successful and you want to share. And I just find the more successful, what people don't realize is the more success somebody has, usually the more they're willing to share, right? Some people are like, I don't want to ask so-and-so, I don't want to bug them, what have you. Right. And I mean, like me asking you to come on my podcast and you said yes, right? And I mean, you started somewhere just like everybody else. But yeah,
I want to add something to that is, we talked about before the programming, and you have your programming and I have mine. But, part of it comes from the fact that I want to be the father that I never had to the people around me. Mm-hmm. I wanted my father to see my greatness. And because he didn't, it made me feel unseen, unheard, unvalued. And I never want somebody around me to feel that way. So the goal is, where is their greatness? How do I nurture that? How do I lean into it? How do I acknowledge it? So the gifts that we generally have later in life come from the pain from our childhood. And I think when people get that, then they don't feel like they had a shitty childhood. No, you had a great childhood for who you are today.
Exactly. And I mean, we talked about our brothers beating us up when we were younger. I remember when my brother John used to beat me up all the time, and he'd say, "Someday you're going to thank me for this." And I'm just like, "Yeah, John, whatever you say," but it's true. And, I'm going to send this to him when we're done and laugh at this part because I didn't take any shit growing up, and I still don't. Right. But because he was like that, I used to get in so many fights when I was younger because my brother was bigger than I was. I had two other brothers that were a lot bigger than I were, and they used to beat on me as well. And all of a sudden I get to school and this kid my size or smaller, I'm like, let's go. Let's go. Right. So, maybe if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be like that. So it's funny. And I'm just like, you fast forward, 25, years and you're like, oh, wow. He was right.
Well, James Bond is well known to get himself into sticky situations and then to figure a way out, right? Like he uses the bobby pin from the girl he's with to undo the lock, to get in the back door, whatever. And I think that it's a metaphor for life. That's why we love that kind of James Bond kind of thing. And, every person has the ability to use whatever's around them. And the most resourceful people are the ones that succeed and win.
And if they can channel that, that's the thing, is a key thing is like, if they allow it to come in and they, we talked about people like me and you are students of personal development, but some people don't even know that it exists.
Right.
Right. And me and you started, the same way with Tony Robbins. Like I remember being, 15, 16, 17, and I'm reading and doing, listening to audios by Tony, right? No one else I knew growing up, teenager was doing that. Right.
Yeah.
And that's probably why, I'm sitting here doing a podcast, right? Is because I've been a student of personal development since a young kid. Right. And I still did the other things like, chase girls when I was young, play hockey, Canadian stuff. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, people don't
realize girls is Canadian thing.
What's that? I meant the hockey, but I guess both. They kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So being a busy guy, a businessman, entrepreneur, how do you do all that you do? How do you allocate your time for all your businesses so you're not running around doing 100 different things and not getting anything done like some people out there? How do you kind of channel it all? Because I know you got a lot of avenues. You're a very super busy guy, but it seems like you're like one guy in 5. You know what I mean? So how do you allocate all that?
Yeah, well, thanks for asking that question, because I have a thing called the Sunday System for Success that I've been using for 15 years. And it comes from me. Again, I model a lot of people. I don't create this stuff, but I'm good at implementation and I'm good at taking action and then refining. So I have a system that allows me to bring a lot of me to each hour of every day. A lot of people are like, you hear them say things like, well, I got an hour to kill. You'll never hear me say that, ever.
Me either.
That's the most stupidest phrase I've ever heard.
I've never been bored. I like bored. I'm like, what?
So the idea is that, you cast your vision out for your day, your week, your quarter, your year, whatever. And I ask myself, how much of me do I want to bring to each meeting?
I like that.
In a couple of hours, I'm going to go golfing with the head coach of the Cardinals defensive team.
Nice.
And I randomly met him about a month ago. We were both single guys golfing. I caught up to him. I asked if I could join. We started talking. We hit it off like a house on fire. And now I'm a life coach with him. And even though he doesn't know it, I'm coaching him. And and he's bringing 2 of his coaches, and we're all buddies. So I don't just go to that game of golf and go, I'm going to have a round of golf. I set an intention. Right?
I'm the same way. I love it. When I go to meetings, I make sure I've got my realtor pens on and all that stuff. And I'm going there and I'm like, you know what? Why not? Right? Why not? Because every event that I go to, you always want to try to, turn over that stone. Right?
So I think for people that want more out of life, you got to bring more of you to life.
I like that.
You've got to decide, like, you have an hour in the morning to work out. I see people on the treadmill, walking, checking their phone, and that's fine if that's what you want. When I go to the gym, sometimes I go for 25 minutes, but dude, it's bam, 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 bam. I hit it and I'm out. I feel great because I set an intention to go in and rock it out.
Yeah.
I think most people don't have that strategy. And so I have this 7-step process I use every Sunday to load up my week. So my week is exciting and I'm compelled by it and I'm invigorated by it. And I can't wait for every day. Like I know I'm on the tee box at 3:00 today with 3 badass freaking coaches from the Cardinals team. And I'm excited about that. And I'm bringing them all a copy of my book now. And it's going to be a great day. We have a little competition. We're going to be betting. We're going to be egging each other on. It's going to be 4 hours of pure fucking joy.
I love it. It's almost like eating meals in your metabolism. And what I mean by that is the busiest people always seem to be able to take on a little bit more, right? Yes. It's kind of like if you're supposed to eat 5 to 6 meals, small meals a day, keep that metabolism going. Instead of having 2 or 3 big meals would kind of make you eat that big turkey dinner. You're kind of like, you're just sitting there. So it seems like you're the same way where, you're busy, but you get it done. Right. And somebody that even though you've got maybe 6, 7 things to do that day, you could probably take on 8 more than this one person that only has 1 thing to do and to throw in 2 because you got your systems in place.
Yeah. And you have the law of momentum. A body in motion will likely stay in motion unless exerted upon by a force equal or greater. Mm-hmm. So a busy person is in motion. And they're like, yeah, let me give you that. Okay, boom, I got that. Yeah, I'm on and this. So, you'll get to this in the 90-day challenge toward the end. But one of the things in chapter 10 is say yes and figure it out later.
Like Sir Richard Branson.
Right. He says, say yes and learn it later, which is essentially the same thing. So, I'll give you an example. I went snowboarding with my girls, and at the time they were living with their mother about an hour and a half away near a ski hill. So I drove up there, brought my snowboard, they had their skis, get to the bottom of the hill, go to put them on. I realized I grabbed my wife's boot and one of my boots. And now I can't snowboard. And I'm thinking, and this is my brain doesn't think, because I grew up on a farm. It's not, Dad, I can't put the picket fence up, I can't do this. It's how will you find a way? And I think Richard Branson, you, me, entrepreneurial people don't think, that's an obstacle that's not overcomable. It's how do I overcome it? So my default is there is a way.
I like that. And that probably comes back to you being resourceful on the farm when you were young.
Exactly. Yeah. So every time, and I invite people to do this, you get in a situation, stop thinking, oh, that's such a big obstacle. Oh, coronavirus. Oh, I don't have a gym to work out in. Think there is a way. Do push-ups at home, do squats, go online, follow a course for free. There's a way, if you're committed, to get your outcome.
I bought a gym 6 months ago with a couple other owners, and I can tell you right now, having a 14,000 square foot gym to myself is pretty nice.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Good attitude.
Do a little post, and my friends are like inboxing me, Dan, you need to stop posting. You're just teasing me.
Can't you have less than 10 people there? You bring a couple of friends?
No, not allowed. There's big fines.
God, this is so brutal down there. We're not on this lockdown like that. I mean, gyms are closed for sure, but I heard a lot of gyms are going bankrupt, man.
They are. Yeah, no, it's hopefully, that we can get a vaccine and we don't stay in this for too long. Because it's going to be tough. A lot of small businesses are never going to recover. It's definitely going to be a year to remember, 2020 for sure. Yeah. So what do you do in your spare time? If you have any, I know we just kind of talked about it. Is there anything, is it golf, or is there, spending time with your girls? Like, is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you'd kind of do in your spare time?
So my life is a hybrid of work and play.
Yeah.
So I don't really look at it as work. Like, we're chit-chatting here. I'm in my studio. You could say it's work. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, typically what I do in my time zone from about 5 a.m. to about 11 or 12 noon. I do that 3 days a week. The rest of the week I take off. So that's my time.
It kind of just cut out there, Rock. What did you just say?
I said that my typical schedule is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays from 5 a.m. my time, which is 8 a.m. Eastern Standard, to about 12 noon my time, 3 o'clock Eastern, is when I do all my appointments, my calls. I meet with my teams, my leaders, my managers from my different businesses. I review my finances, blah, blah, blah. And then the rest of the week I have to do other things like be with family, play, go to yoga, golf, go past tense, go to the movies or whatever, go out to dinner, hang out with friends. And the creative part of me comes out then too. So if I want to write another book or record videos or what have you, I do it, maybe on a Thursday morning where I don't have the busyness of getting on a call and interacting with people.
That's a good point. I might actually implement that. And so that, because Mondays, Tuesdays can be very busy because, a lot of times people take the weekend to kind of relax and then boom, Monday, Tuesday comes. So I got a few more questions and then I have 5 random questions that I always kind of end off with. But before we get into the 5 random questions, what scares you? Does anything scare you out there?
Not living fully.
I love that. That would be mine too.
Yeah, that's how I motivate myself. I'm like, go over and pay that person a compliment, or, go and open a business, or, and I feel this like, one day you're going to be dead, man. One day you're going to be dead. You don't even get to make that choice.
Well, when I, it's funny. I bought this gym and it was a goal of mine 10 years ago. And now after a week after I bought it, I'm like, what did I just do? Because it doesn't really align with my goals now. But the way I looked at it was succeed or fail, I'm going to learn. Right. And I, didn't have any fears going into it. And I just know that, I'm swinging the bat, just like you, swinging the bat, right? Swing the bat 100 times. Maybe you only hit the ball 10 times, but you're swinging the bat, because a lot of people out there are even scared just to pick up the bat.
Yeah.
Right. So I love it. I love it. So you're such a go-getter. What is the best way for people to achieve your abundance, your views on life, and your energy? How can somebody be a mini Rock Thomas, or kind of, what would be your, I guess, strategies, or what would you say to somebody that's trying to get your level of success, abundance, and your energy?
I wrote that book, Your Epic Life Blueprint, and you're going through that 90-day challenge right now. And as you go through each week, you're going to see that I wrote 10 chapters into the 10 top things I think people should do if they want to have success in anything. And success is in the details. So some people are going to look at it and they go, chapter 2 is on goal setting. They'll go, yeah, okay, I know goal setting. That's a problem, because each step of the goal setting piece is actually magic if you lean into it and you pay attention to the details. Kobe Bryant used to call up Michael Jordan at 2 o'clock in the morning to discuss with him, footwork, because Kobe was obsessed with success. When you become obsessed with success, then you become very curious about the details.
Yeah, I did a lot of watching content on him. What a huge loss. But I absolutely loved him, and I still kind of use some of his practices, and he was next level. Right. And
yeah, so I would say, Daniel, that for people to get, and nobody, like, I'm not a Tony Robbins. I have a piece of Tony in me that's useful, right? So everybody needs to do their thing and be themselves. But I think it comes down to personal standards. Raise your personal standards and decide you're going to be a better version of yourself every day. I call it the plan for progress. Get 1% better a day.
You spend a lot of time with Tony, so eventually, he's going to rub off on you a lot, right? Like me hanging out with you and me being connected with you, you're going to, some of your practice is going to rub off on me, right? So, I mean, that must be amazing for you to, him to be your passion to live your life, and then for you to actually kind of work with him. Like, that must just boom, right? Because
dude, the first time I met him face to face,
yeah,
because I joined his coaching program, I gave him $100,000, and then they're like, okay, you're going to meet him on the break. I had diarrhea 3 times.
I went to one of his events, and he instead of a high five, we kind of grabbed hands for him, and I'm just like, I don't want to wash this hand.
Yeah, electrocute.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, Arnold, when I met Arnold Schwarzenegger, I cried literally. Like, there's not too many heroes. There's him, there's Tony, right? And it'd be nice to meet you in person, right?
Yeah, it'll happen.
Mexico in November, right?
Yes.
So yeah, that must be awesome. So now it's time to play 5 random questions.
All right.
And the last one's kind of funny. Some people you're like, Dan, why is that in there? But I just love it because it's good. So this is where I ask 5 random questions, and you answer any way you like. They don't have to be a speed round. Any way you like. Number 1, if there was one piece of life advice you could give your 20-year-old self, what would it be?
Be better at relationships. Humans are variable. And because of the way I was raised, my father was very tough on me. I was very tough on the people around me. So when they had a bad week or a bad month or a bad year or however long it lasted, I kind of X'd them out. I included a few ex-wives. And I just didn't learn to be patient. People were patient with me, but I wasn't with them. And I didn't understand how to be better at relationships. So that's the advice I would give myself.
And that just comes back to what me and you just talked about the rubbing off. Like, you're around Tony, so he rubs off that good energy. You're around your dad, it was that different energy, which kind of, you took that and maybe you weren't great or maybe you're mean to some people because your father wasn't, you know, the greatest to you at times. But, you know, you take Tony, for example, you're around Tony, you rub off, then you give that good energy to other people. It's kind of like, you know, you hear it all the time, but it's so true. You are who you're back, you're 5 people, right? Like if you got, you know, somebody like yourself on this palm, somebody like Tony Robbins, and then on this hand, maybe you have, you know, maybe a couple alcoholics, you're probably going to drink a little bit if you're with those alcoholics. Or if you have someone that, you know, they do drugs, you're probably gonna do some drugs. But if you have these people that are just crushing it life, leveling up, then you're just going to, that's going to rub off on you. And then you're just going to attack life and be like, I'd rather have this hand over here. Right. So
yeah,
I love
it. Eventually you become your environment.
Yes.
Bottom line.
Yes.
Eventually.
Yeah. And that's the whole reason why I joined your platform is because I was going to meetings here in Edmonton and I was like, I need more substance. I need people that are maybe, you know, I can teach a little bit. They can teach me, because it doesn't matter what level of success someone is. Like, even though you're here and I'm here, I can teach you a few things.
100%.
But you can teach me a lot more, but we can also learn and teach each other a little bit, right?
Look, it's the pitch and catch.
Yes.
That is good, right? And to the highest form of learning is actually teaching.
Yes.
So the biggest benefit I get from M1, my mastermind group, and the 90-day challenge is that I got to show up and teach, right? Yep. In order to do that, I need to freaking know the content.
Yep.
And in order to do that, I live the content. Yep. So like you said on this podcast, we didn't need to prepare for this. I don't have to prepare to be me.
Yeah.
I don't have to, I could probably talk for 3 days in a row on personal development content with 0 notes. I'd have no fear around that. I've got chunks in my head. I've got stories. I got examples. I got exercises to keep, you know, until the cows come home.
Yeah. So when your team asks me, they're like, do you want to prepare? I'm like, we're pros. We got this.
Exactly. 100%.
I love it. I love it. What is one thing that maybe not a lot of people know about you? You're probably an open book and there's a lot of information out there, but is there one thing that maybe a lot of people don't know?
You know, my life is, I really talk a lot, and my kids hate this about me. I talk a lot about my life. And they're like, Dad, did you have to mention that I broke up with my boyfriend? Jesus, Murphy, Dad. I didn't even tell my friends yet. I'm like, I'm sorry. I just, you know. So I get in trouble for that because I am so open. But I would guess, something benign like during this coronavirus, I've picked 8,000 oranges off of the trees from my house and my neighbors just because I never got a chance to do it. And I wanted to see what it was like. And now I drink freshly squeezed orange juice every day. And I provide it for my family. And I guess it's the farm boy in me that feels comfortable doing that manual labor, where most of the time I go, it's not, that's not the best use of Rock Thomas's time. He charges $1,500 an hour to coach. Why would you do something at $20 an hour? Well, I'm doing it because it feels good. I'm with Mother Nature, and I'm connected to something that's actually coming in my body. So, but how do I do it? I'm obsessed about it. I'm figuring out how to pick them faster. I've got a knapsack turned backwards in front of me, and I'm putting them in. That's the best way. I know how to twist them. They come off. There's the reason the birds don't eat the oranges, because there's thorns on them, and it's tough to get in there, and I scrape my arms. But every time I do that, I'm learning something. I'm excited about it. So not many people know that I've done that, but it's the old saying, how you do anything is how you do everything. I do it with a sense of curiosity.
And it probably comes full circle for you because you had the life on the farm, and now it's almost kind of bringing you back to your roots a little bit, where it's probably doing more inner stuff than you actually know. Exactly. Right? Exactly. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Here's a good one. What's the coolest, funniest, most unique, or best nickname anyone has ever given you, and the story behind it?
Well, my real name's Arvin, Arvin. Okay. So I was at an event, a Tony Robbins event, and we had to come up with a nickname. And somebody said to me, what does Arvin mean anyway? And I go, well, it's a Dutch name. It means strong as a rock. And they
Means
go, well,
what?
why don't we strong as a rock?
Oh, okay. Oh, strong as a rock. Ah, this is good. I didn't know this. Okay.
No, a lot of people don't know
I did
that.
a lot of research. I did a lot of
There you
research.
go.
This could have been question 2.
So they go, why don't we call you Rock? And somebody goes, that's great. That's perfect for you. You know, you're like a rock. You're strong. You're this, you're that. And I'm like, oh, I like this feedback I'm getting from that. That's great. It's much better than Arvin when they're like, how do you spell that? Arvin, Irvin, Alvin, Alvin and the Chickmunks? What's your name? So,
Wow.
That was about 15 years ago.
Did you
So I went
legally
home.
chilling? Did you legally change your name to Rock?
So I went through the exercise, then I got distracted by something and stopped. But I was amazed that the government I just started putting my name on tax returns and stuff as Rock. They started sending it back. So now So now I've got it on credit cards and tax returns, and not on my passport. But so that's the story behind that.
I'm going to change my name because Dan Smith sucks.
It's easy to remember. Though.
It is. My brother's John. Like, come on, Mom. Come on, Mom. You had one job. Like, my poor brother's identity theft like 3 times. But I was raised Roman Catholic, and so it's all names from the Bible, right? But I mean, like, I like having a cool first.
What would you have?
I don't know, but something unique, because I've gone to hotels where there's like literally 3 other Daniel Smiths at the same hotel. They're like, which one are you? I'm like, okay, which one has the nicest view? I'll go to the DMV, and they're like, okay, what's your name? And they're like, Daniel Smith. And they're like, what's your middle name? What's your birthday? Oh my God, do you want a urine sample? Like, what?
What is your middle name?
Jacob. All like, and my brother's Alexander Joseph. Like, literally, they're all names from the Bible.
All right. Well, why don't you come up with an alter ego, and then you let us know.
Okay.
With a nickname. Think of one, or we're going to think of one for you.
You just send it to CRA, and they send you back to the same name, Rock. I love that. Who is the most famous person you ever met?
That's a good one. I was going to say Tony. Who else? Another one is Robert Herjavec from Shark Tank. I think he's pretty famous.
Yeah. I've read his book, Driven. I like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I met a few Olympic athletes that at the time, back like 20 years ago, that were famous but are no longer today. My gosh, that's a good question. I don't.
Tony's pretty famous.
Yeah, I don't get. Yeah, but a lot of people meet him too, right?
Yes, true. Yeah,
because he's out there. So I don't really get. You know what's funny is when I meet really, really successful people, I'm actually really comfortable with them.
They're just people.
They're just people, but they're also usually quite evolved, so they're not uncomfortable with themselves.
Yeah.
I get a little more uncomfortable around people that are so uncomfortable with themselves that they're not relaxed. They're like, they're trying to prove something, or they're posturing for position, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you get around really successful people, they're just like, yo, what's up? You know?
Especially Tony, he's just in that world, in that environment anyways, where he's such a giver, and he just has all these practices. So it's probably so easy to communicate with, right? Because that's what his whole career has been. Right? It's communication and helping people and break through and level up, and the fire walk and all that stuff. Have you done the fire walk?
45 times.
Nice. I love it. I haven't did it yet. I got to come do a fire walk with you and Tony. That would be a dream.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. All right. So the last question, it's my favorite question. It's so random. What would be your last meal if you were on death row? What would be a few things that you would like to eat?
Oh my God. My girlfriend is an international chef, and she's a vegan, and she cooks with herbs and vegetables. And
last meal, Rock, though, like death row, last meal.
Dude, I'm telling you, you do not understand. People do not understand that this is way better than any meat you will eat. Boil meat, it's going to taste crappy, dude. It's everything we put on it that makes it taste good, right? One of her meals, man, it's not the answer you guys want, but it's one of her beautiful salads or one of her beautiful soups. I love hummus, I love avocado, but her food, your taste buds, unbelievable.
So just go out healthy. Just go out healthy.
Well, you can't just go healthy. You got to go Natasha healthy. Natasha
so
is a chef.
Specifically one of her meals.
Absolutely.
Okay, fly her in. Okay, she's here.
Dude, we do an event at my house called Life Design that's just for like 8 people. We do a 3-day deep dive. And I think 4 of the 8 people that came all converted to her way of eating, and they're screaming the praises of it. We got one guy that lost 25 pounds with chronic back pain for 13 years. Thought he would live the rest of his life that way. Changed his diet and no longer has chronic back pain. But not only that, loves the food. So
I love it. I went vegan for a few weeks, and then I just kind of cut back a little bit.
Yeah.
But for me, I did notice some more energy for sure. And what's funny is when I was going vegan, I read that what a lot of people don't understand is you take the Spartans, the 300, and you take those back in the day, those warriors. People think, oh, they ate all this meat, but actually they ate vegan because they were having more energy when they actually got on the battlefield. And so I was just like, wow, that's so fascinating.
Well, that's a whole conversation in and of itself.
Yeah.
Djokovic is vegan. Tom Brady is vegan. So there's the top athletes, you know, they are eating well because they're going to get an edge or an advantage from that.
Yeah, 100%. So Rock, before we finish up here, what is the one key message in life that you can give to help all the people out there listening with all your learnings, all your studying of people, all the millions of people you've helped over the world? What is your one key message?
I would say that the simplest, the most profound way that you can start to create a new possibility for yourself is to be conscious of the words that you use to describe yourself.
Like that.
So if I was to say, you know, who are you as a business person, or as a dad, or as a brother, or as a lover? Most people never get around to that process of describing how they want to show up in life. So they show up based on their programming, which generally sucks. So if you want to be a better father, describe yourself as a present, loving, caring, resourceful dad, as an example. And then read that for 30 days every day. And I guarantee you, one day when you used to yell or get upset or you weren't patient, you're going to go, oh no, I'm resourceful, present dad. That's who I am.
That power.
Yeah, the word creates the world, right? It's like a script for a movie. Just write the script out consciously and with intention. It's not going to happen overnight. And you're still going to have your programming you're going to push up against, but it's going to start to shift you. I went from working hard to working smart. I went from farm boy to financially free. I went from dyslexic and bad speller to somebody that wrote 3 books. I would never have done that had I not first became that person. The person that wins the gold medal is a gold medalist before they have it put over around their neck, before they run the race.
100%, yeah.
So become the person in your mind first, and then keep on that conversation. I am a patient, generous, loving, great dad. Keep on that mantra. I'm a business person that makes better and better choices and learns from all of my mistakes, right?
That reminds me of a picture that has a ballerina, and it's just the ballerina's feet. And she's up kind of like a ballerina, but her toes and her feet are just destroyed. You see this elegant performer, what you don't see is she's probably got some of the most mangled and beat up feet that you'd ever see because of all the force that it takes to do that elegant kind of routine.
Yes.
So Rock, thank you so much for coming on Edmonton Real, my Edmonton Real podcast. And for anyone looking to be a part of your coaching programs, what is the best way for someone to locate them?
rockthomas.com is a great place to go. And for my mastermind, goem.com, Go M1, GOM1, the number.com.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you today. Thanks again, Rock, for coming on. It's been an honor. This was Edmonton Real. Thanks for watching.